There is Tariq, there is Abdul, there is also Vivek from the marketing. They're all at the background facilitating, supporting you on your questions. Any questions that you have, we may not get a chance to answer them all on voice, but please do use the chat. Drop the question there. One of our colleagues will definitely respond to you immediately, instantly, while the call is happening. So we will manage that. All right. Okay. My next slide, please. All right. Let me take you through who is Thales and what we do, and why are we doing this workshop today. Few slides, and I'll hand it over to Paul after me. Okay. So if you look at the first slide which had a nice picture, I don't know any of you have noticed that. Okay, and it's also here at the background. So we say Thales as a company, we kind of contribute to the world something or the other in terms of products or services. Okay, from bottom of the ocean to the depth of space and cyberspace. You can now understand why we say that, because our specialization is in aerospace and space and defense and security and digital identity and security. Where do we belong? We belong within that digital identity and security. Some of the takeaways in this slide is we are number one when it comes to data protection. I'm sure some of you must already know. Thales is well known when it comes to HSM and cloud HSM and other stuff. And then you have the air traffic management system. For example, if you have heard of Thales, they're quite famous when it comes to aviation, aeronautic industry or aviation industry. Okay, so where most of the flights that you take, maybe we don't want to exaggerate, 2 out of 3 flights in the world run on Thales FMS system. Okay, we also manage a lot of air traffic management system for several airports around the world. Okay, we are also number one there, and we can pick some of the other areas too. Okay, we are over 90,000 employees. I think it needs to be updated with the acquisition in Imperva plus what has happened from the last year to now. And we are spread in 68 countries. That's our global presence. We spend more than 4 billion pound in only R&D. So which means we spend pretty much 40% of our revenue into R&D. So in all these areas, okay. Our revenue as of last year was close to 19 billion pound, but then it can be converted to 21 or 22 billion USD. Okay. Now, where do we belong in Thales? It's called CPL, Thales Cloud Protection and Licensing Team. What do we offer in this CPL? We offer data protection, access management, software monetization. Are we going to talk about all this? No. We are only going to concentrate with one area, which is called access management. Okay. But some takeaways from this slide, you can see we are a worldwide leader when it comes to general purpose payment and cloud HSM. We're also a leader when it comes to data encryption and key management solutions. We are a leader when it comes to advanced authentication, also software protection. Okay, next slide. Okay, why are we doing this workshop today? Every customer that you visit today or you are engaged with, they're all looking for some form of authentication, more precisely passwordless authentication, okay, or some form of better authentication than just username and password. Okay, so why? Because they need more security. They want to eliminate phishing attacks, credential stuffing, and other password-related attacks. There are so many attacks related to access, identity and access. So customers are looking to enhance the security so they can avoid all these attacks, right? And then second is better user experience. There is no need to remember multiple passwords, and they want it to be faster, seamless login on application. They don't want to struggle with remembering passwords, having issues with it. And then also a lower TCO in terms of reducing the IT operation costs and support costs around resetting passwords, making provision to create and support password-related issues, there's a lot of money being spent there. Okay, so this is why. And why? Because passwords are the problem. You know why passwords are the problem. There are a few reasons. You can see, number one reason, the average person has about 38 online accounts. Okay, you and I, if you start counting the number of accounts, including the social email, and others, we have 38 online accounts. Imagine how many passwords we are dealing with. Maybe sets of 3, sets of 5, I don't know. So you always have an issue there. And according to the UK National Cyber Security Center, NCSC, 23 million account holders worldwide still use 1234567 as their password, okay, which is crazy. Okay, and we also do. If you really look into your own password list, I'm sure in some areas you also use 12345. Okay, and 90% of internal users are worried about getting their passwords accessed, including me, including you. We are all worried when we are having that banking app, some particular application, or even our social media account. Will it be hacked by somebody? Somebody will impersonate me? I mean, we are always concerned, right? So that is always there, right? 80% of hacking-related breaches are tied to passwords. Can you imagine? 80% of any hacking-related breaches are tied to password. So password is essential, yeah. So and that area is very important. So it's been a problem. And then there is a slow process in accepting MFA. Not that everyone uses multi-factor authentication. Around only 40% of employees at their organization today use MFA for cloud-based application. That is, MFA is multi-factor authentication. Outside username and password, you use another form of authentication, right? So this is also another problem. So password are in general a problem. How are we going to address this? We have a journey we created. Our approach to this journey is called Passwordless 360. So why are we calling 360? We would like to identify this on a complete 360 angle: consumer, devices, and workforce. So we would like to identify consumer identity access as one of the area, devices, which connects both consumer and workforce, and then workforce within the organization. So let's next slide, please. So in this journey, in this approach that we have, which is called Passwordless 360, Thales approach to get the full passwordless coverage. If you look at it for the internal, you all know that we have a product called SafeNet Trusted Access. We provide enterprises with multi-factor authentication, single sign-on solution using SafeNet Trusted Access, both on cloud, on-prem, and this is one of our flagship products for over a decade and above, okay? And that kind of takes care of the permanent employees, temporary employees, and gig workers, and bit of contract workers and partners and others, right? And we also have another solution on the external side of an enterprise, which is One Welcome SIAM Identity Platform, which is for consumer identity access management to drive and facilitate the consumer engagement on a mobile and web platform that your customer is launching, part of their digital transformation journey or their businesses, right? So there we are talking about the corporate customers, B2B, B2C, consumers, and others. But in this space of protecting both internal and external, we have two sets of assurances we can provide with authentication that we have. One is the low assurance, the SMS OTP, email OTP, QR code, maybe a little bit of grid share. They're on the lower assurance. They are not highly secure, but yet predominantly used till today. Okay, and we also have on the high assurance. We have the PKI FIDO USB tokens, FIDO Alliance, FIDO tokens, PKI FIDO smart cards, smartphone authenticators. Then you have FIDO USB tokens, OTP tokens in different forms from Thales, biometric. All this kind of strengthens the authentication. So this is on the high assurance for the for both internal and external customers, right? So today's session, our focus is on how are we going to provide the high assurance for this consumers and also the internal workforce. Okay, this is why this workshop is being designed, to give you a deep understanding of PKI and FIDO. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, now this is my last slide. I would like to probably request you to visualize your customers and their pain when it comes to managing devices, location, and different sets of users. Who are these different sets of users? On-site users, remote users, roaming users. On-site users with three different scenarios, right? On-site users with corporate laptop, regulatory requirement. What kind of authentication methods that we can provide? Obviously, we have mobile pass, OTP push, passwordless journey for them, and also there can be some third-party authenticators, right? Then on-site shared device, we have two situations there. Shared device, imagine some customer may say that I don't allow phone in that environment. How do I get my guys authenticate to access certain shared devices? Yes, we can. Places like manufacturing floor workers, call center personnels, and outsource help desk. We do have solutions, FIDO, biometric, and hardware, voice authentication. There are several, right? Then within on-site shared device, we have another area which is basically no connectivity zone. There are space where there's no internet connection. Yet the customer would say, I want to emphasize on authentication there. My lab workers, my workers in remote places, maybe oil rigs and refining areas. I don't know. There are many areas, even in factories, some manufacturing areas. Okay, how would they want to authenticate those users, even though there is no connectivity there? Yes, we have an answer. We can do that with FIDO tokens and others. Okay. Then we have the other on-site, scenario, which is the mobile. People who are on mobile, like you and I, most of the time, okay? With mobile, highly sensitive data being managed. If it's an IT admin, how do we protect them with PKI, okay? PKI set of authentication. Then we have remote user, okay? Remote user with a shared device, and still the same kind of scenarios. Then we have the roaming user with a BYOD, like some of you, okay? Those who doesn't want to take a corporate device with you. You want to carry your MacBook only, and then not willing to use any corporate devices. The contractors, the executive with MacBooks and customers. What kind of authentication can be provided? We can give them grid sure, some Google Authenticator, email OTP, SMS OTP, and few other, and plus PKI and others. So on a nutshell, in every use case, in every scenario where the customer is having a requirement or a demand for an authentication, we have an answer. As Thales, with Versasec, we can come out and tell you, this is an answer, this is how we will approach this. And with this, I think I'll invite Paul, please take over.
Thanks, Jana. That's a fantastic start to this workshop. Thanks, everyone, for joining today. I'm sure you guys all are very keen to learn about how our combined joint offering helps the journey of your customers, existing customers, or your new prospects, or let's say organizations in your respective regions, how you can tackle them, how to talk to them, and how you can take forward the discussion about Thales Authenticators. So we saw with Jana the first 10 minutes, the different type of users, their user journeys, different type of security levels. So that gives you an idea on how we can take forward. So I'm going to spend the next 10 to 15 minutes where I'll be talking a little bit about Versasec, what we do, and obviously I will jump into the use cases. I'm going to be touching a little bit about the use cases, but then the gentlemen behind me, they are the technical guys. They're going to dive deep into that. So this is just a small introduction from myself and Jana, but then once we pass it on to the technical guys, then it's going to be even better for you guys because you'll be able to see the entire picture. Yeah. So, little bit about Versasec. We are a Swedish-based firm, founded in 2007, and we are focused in managing the digital identities, particularly whenever there is a requirement to manage the life cycle of credentials, let's say tokens, smart cards, virtual smart cards like the ID Prime Virtual from Thales. Then we are there. So we offer both on-prem vSEC CMS Perpetual and our SaaS solution vSEC Cloud, designed to manage the complete lifecycle of any hardware-bound devices for organizations of all sizes. So our comprehensive system covers every stage of the credential management. So starting from issuance, PIN resets, token provisioning, giving temporary authentication for your end users, revoking it when somebody is leaving the organization, and the complete decommissioning procedure. So through these lifecycle workflows, it can be initiated either through central manner where you have an admin or an operator who takes care of this entire deployment phase, or even through self-service if you are having a remote workforce. So this provides you with maximum flexibility, enabling automation. So with our vSEC CMS solution, you can very seamlessly integrate with third-party systems such as user directories, IDPs, external databases, and HSMs, ensuring compatibility with your existing infrastructure. So this slide talks a bit about our journey together with Thales. So in 2007, Versasec was founded and started a partnership with Gemalto. It was called Gemalto before. Now it's Thales for PKI and smart card projects. And in 2011, Versasec and Thales entered into the distribution agreement for vSEC CMS in Europe. And in 2013, the distribution agreement between Versasec and Thales expanded to the rest of the world. And now in 2023, successfully, both Thales and Versasec have acquired 300 plus customers across 40 different countries. And in the latest and greatest of 2024 with Thales and vSEC Versasec combination, the latest Thales FIDO 2 extended features are now extensively managed by our vSEC CMS solution. So since 2007, we've been specialized in managing PKI credentials for some of the world's most security critical organizations. If you can see on this slide, we are not focused on one sector. We are spread across and we cut across different sectors. So with our CMS, customers benefit from a unified platform. So be it PKI, be it FIDO-based devices, you can completely manage the life cycle of all these credentials and with it through an intuitive and a user-friendly interface. So this slide, I want to not again repeat the points which Jana said because Jana exactly said why we need to have these drivers, these discussions for adopting passwordless MFA and why password is a problem these days. What I would like to emphasize here is about the compliance, which is driving many of the countries in Africa, the organizations towards moving towards multi-factor authentication. So whether following the ISO IEC standards 27001 or 27701 or even 27032, or many of them following the standard framework of GDPR. We've seen many countries in Africa, they have created their own privacy laws, like we have POPIA from South Africa, NDPR from Nigeria, DPA from Kenya, NDPL from Morocco, and Ghana has its own cybersecurity act. So based on these global standards, also understanding certain drivers and the framework from NIST, we see there is a lot of effort which is being put by the countries in the African region. And we feel that this could be a potential door opener, that we would be able to drive the conversation on why anymore that password is not the right way to go for authentication. So how you should implement multi-factor authentication, why you should move towards the passwordless journey. We saw this point also being driven by Jana. What is very important to understand here is the SMS-based MFA is one of the very weakest form of authentication. So yes, it makes it very simple. it can be very cost effective, but there are a lot of issues when it comes with SMS interception, SIM swapping, and obviously there is no protection against malware. Yes, definitely app-based MFA gives a little bit of protection, but when it comes to certain specifics, right, when there is downtime or air gap environments, or if there is any potential of phishing based requirements, or even now AI driven hacking, so it's very difficult to have a very strong type of multi-factor authentication. That's why it's important to move towards the hardware-bound devices, which is provided by Thales. And when you are going for the strongest type of form factor, it gives you phishing resistance, and it can be either PKI or FIDO, and then it allows you to take the journey and in lieu with your privacy measures, as well as sticking to your security policies. This is another slide which helps you to understand where is the ROI, okay, where is the best investment if you are going for multi-factor authentication. And as you can see, whether it's X509, which is the PKI, or the FIDO, which gives you the best return on investments. And this is from Alan and Gartner IAM Summit, which has come from March 2023. So why this joint solution is important, or why Thales Authenticators is important? The most important thing is when we are talking to organizations, and they are definitely worried about how the end users are managing the authentication. You drive the point of securing the digital identity with the Thales Authenticators. So why you do that? Because once anybody holds a Thales token or a smart card, the private key never leaves the device, which means that their data, the machine they're working with, notebook, laptop, desktop, is protected like never before, because the private key never leaves the device, and you're depending on the token or the smart card to get the authentication. So be it hardware PKI, PIV, FIDO based keys, or if you're going for the platform authenticators or the MDMs, with Thales and with our joint solution, it gives you a wonderful story of to travel through the complete authentication process flow of multi-factor authentication. So let's say that you need the management of these devices with one Thales token or smart card. You would be able to manage with vSEC CMS solution all the use cases which you see below. So starting with logical access, remote access, VPN, data encryption, digital signing, physical access and visual identification, and also website authentication. So the complete lifecycle management can be orchestrated and automated, which talks to each and different parts of the system, so that it improves your admin team, increases the efficiency, and you never feel that you are let down because you're not having an automated system to manage all these tokens or smart cards. So why it is important to have this discussion with our prospects or existing customers or organizations who are looking forward? It's always nice when you have a discovery call with them, or you go and have a meeting with them. You understand that what is their, are they consistent with their security policies, and are they able to associate these tokens if they are having a new policy to issue all these tokens? Do they have the right way to issue it to the end users, whether centrally or through self-service? How do they avoid these tokens or smart cards to be misused? Then is there a hybrid type of setup? So are they going to be using both the certificate-based authentication and the FIDO2 authentication? And how do they access non-FIDO applications? And if there's a requirement to combine with physical access, how is it possible? So how do I combine the logical access and the physical access together? So these kind of questions allows you to encourage them to open up what are the challenges that they're facing. And particularly when it comes to the commissioning part, you can definitely open the conversation about how to avoid multiple end registrations, or when somebody is revoking a key or token or smart card, how is it being done, and how avoiding through the pain in a manual process, how to automate this so that this becomes more efficient. So these all are very good pointers where you can initiate this discussion with the organization, which allows you to learn more about their requirements, and then you would be able to easily help them with what is their need for the hour. So with Thales and Versasec joint solution, provide the best method to deploy, whether it's a decentralized deployment or a centralized deployment, to manage both PKI and FIDO credentials. And let's say that if there is a requirement to manage the FIDO credentials with SafeNet Trusted Access, where they also have the requirement to actually go and use their web authentication, then it becomes a really good story for you to go and sell. So this allows you to help you to understand what kind of deployment methods is required and take it forward with the respective customers. So we are going to go into few business cases. I'm going to run through this quickly, and please be aware that the following technical workshop will be dealt in deep about all these business cases. Yeah. So the first business case is the corporate batch. This is particularly where an organization struggle to manage both physical and logical access securely and efficiently. So the value proposition is we provide end-to-end lifecycle management of smart card, including RFID keys, encoding, integration with printers and packs. So we will be able to actually provide them a unified management solution for both the physical and logical access, reducing the complexity and scalable based on the organization needs. Next comes the most required one, the privilege accounts, where most of them are now decided to purchase Thales Authenticators. They are already started discussing with you, but how to move forward. Then you can do the value proposition that having an end-to-end multi-factor authentication solution combined with PKI devices for all sizes. Yes, we also can pitch FIDO, but I'm showcasing that as a separate use case, so I'll talk about it later. But what is more important is uh, it is important to make them realize that they have taken the right decision, that they are moving away from password to passwordless journey, and why implementing strong MFA and encryption is very, very important, and help them to move along with the journey. Understand that how they can slowly change over if they are not going to immediately move for all the employees, how to help them stage by stage to implement this complete move over. Everything you can help them, and what makes them very, very happy at the end of the day is you'll be able to easily scale them in a growing organization, or if they have multiple locations, and if you're trying to achieve them by each and every location, then it becomes easier for them to adapt with the Thales Authenticators and vSEC CMS solution. The next one is a customer is looking to seek migrate from PKI CMS systems. So the example would be Microsoft MIM or FIM. One of the biggest mind blocks or questions that there was, will there be downtime? Will it affect any kind of business continuity, because there'll be a lot of user interaction. You can clearly create the value proposition saying that there will be a complete migration path from the third-party CMS to vSEC CMS without any user interaction. So what happens is with this vSEC CMS migration, it becomes so seamless and user-friendly because there's a migration wizard and everything happens behind the scene, which allows them to focus on what matters the most, so that the day-to-day activities are being continued without any type of discontinuity. The next use case which we have is for the remote workforce. Um, let's imagine that it's a huge organization, okay, and the organization has very strict policies where they do not allow any card readers or USB ports. If there is a particular prospect or a customer who's looking to implement multi-factor authentication for their end users, then yes, we have a value proposition where we provide fully centralized management by virtual smart cards. We use the ID Prime Virtual from Thales, and using this, a fully centralized management can be provided by enabling remote security device management feature from vSEC CMS solution. So this actually helps them to simplify the requirement so that they do not need to use a hardware token, but instead we'll be using the TPM based on the device which each of the end user is actually using in their day-to-day activities at the workplace. The next one is related to this remote workforce. The one here is the shared workforce. Here, the individuals, the previous case, probably bring their own devices or be giving their devices where they are working, but here they have to actually share these devices to do their day-to-day activities. So a very good example would be a factory shop where they have multiple operation centers, floors, or even a hospital, or even a hotel management or an entertainment industry where employees need quick access and secure access to both the building and the shared workstations. So this is where we drive our value proposition, saying that we deliver MFA and that works in a shared environment without adding any complexity. So they just use their RFID card, they just tap in, and automatically it allows them to enter into the particular premise, and also it allows them to seamlessly log in into their shared workstation. So by combining RFID technology with ID Prime Virtual managed by vSEC CMS, workers can now securely access buildings and workstations using a single badge. In case if they do not have an RFID card and you're proposing, you can obviously propose the cards which has the built-in contactless RFID chips, the 930 or the dual face intercards, 393 or 340, or you can also for the physical access the 940 ID Prime series, you can definitely promote for these kind of customers. The next one, we usually do this as a value add with our existing use cases. So particularly when the customer is interested in performing email encryption using SMIME, this is particularly used because when we are commissioning this along with their Thales Authenticators, users will be issued certificates through vSEC CMS solution so that they can be using it for their digital signing and encryption use cases. So for signing emails, encrypting emails, all can be done using this particular SMIME feature. Again, I'm created a slide for compliance alone because we've seen in certain scenarios, in certain cases, particularly in certain regions, where compliance drives organizations to come forward for multi-factor authentication. So yes, particularly in South Africa, which has mandated to implement robust security with MFA, we see that it drives the need for going and talking about to organization that why multi-factor authentication is important. And similarly, where a lot of other countries in Africa region are now looking forward towards the global standards. Of course, I'm not sure if everybody will be looking at DFAS from America or ANSI from France, but I know for sure GDPR and NIST framework is very well known in the Africa continent, and this allows you to go and specialize a discussion or create an orientation on how you can help these people who are particularly looking to follow these compliance standards. And finally, I want to talk about the biggest achievement or the one which we are trying to move forward a lot with the FIDO as well as the PKI management combined together, where we get the best of the both world situation. So that could be a customer who wants to replace the current MFA solution with FIDO, or they already have the PKI authentication process flow, but they want to also add the FIDO authentication for the web services, web authentication for their existing employees. So then, yes, we do have the value proposition where the end user deploys the combined Thales card or token, which has both PKI and FIDO credentials integrated with Thales Star, allowing both CBA and WebAuth. So here we have a list of authenticators where you have the combination of both PKI and FIDO2. And if you want only FIDO alone, yes, we also have that alone, where you only need to worry about having the FIDO tokens from Thales being issued to the end users. So all these gives you the different scope of users through the journeys on how you want to actually prepare them to their multi-factor authentication journey. So please understand that these are quick slides that you're gone, but the next 2 hours, we are going to be talking a lot more about these use cases. So with the benefits slide, I'm going to be coming to the end of my part in this workshop. So yes, we are very happy to promote passwordless and phishing resistance authentication, transitioning all the customers or future prospects towards a zero trust architecture. With vSEC CMS solution, you get a comprehensive credential management cycle. So starting from the issuance process, personalization, the entire deployment stage, whether it needs to be done from a centralized manner or decentralized manner, throughout the maintenance process flow, as well as when somebody is leaving the organization. So everything is simplified in a very easy way. There's no code, so it's easy UI and very easy to learn. And we strictly follow the regulatory compliance. So you provide encrypted logs, trace auditability is provided, and also very scalable and cost effective. We obviously want everybody to start with the entire organization moving towards the multi-factor authentication, but it is always important to know how they want to face it. So there might be some organizations who, yes, they want to do it one shot throughout for all the employees, but there might be also organizations who want to do it in a phased manner. So we can help them by talking to them, understanding more about the needs, their requirements, and help them accordingly by bringing them to us so that Thales team, our team, can showcase to them on with demos and with use cases how we can move forward towards the MFA journey. We have created one specific slide for you to pick up the product brief, the solution brief, and some infographics. So please make use of it once you get these slides. And with that, I'm coming to the Q&A session for the first part of this workshop. So yes, Jana and myself can take questions. Any questions for us, Vivek?
I do not see any question yet to be submitted by the attendees. We
Which
can
means
request attend.
which means
Okay.
they all understood so well.
So Jana and myself have done a perfect job. Yeah.
Or maybe we can give a few minutes to attendees to type in question if they have anything.
Please do
Sure.
type in your questions in the chat. Let's say if the next part of the workshop starts and if you still have questions, we will respond back to you in the chat area itself. So no worries at all. So if you have any questions regarding this, please do put it in the chat area so we can respond to you. So with that, I will stop sharing my screen and Andre, next to you.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Endre Pasztor. I'm working as a pre-sales consultant at Thales CPL Identity and Access Management. And in this session, I will talk about these authenticators strictly. And then after me, in the next session, you will see that how you can use those authenticators in a complex identity authentication workflows. So let me share my screen quickly and start my present. Switch off my camera. Sorry, just a second. Let me first switch off my camera and then share my screen. I hope you can still see me, hear me, and see my shared presentation. Okay, so short agenda. I will talk about the issues currently we have, how we can solve those issues with PKI and FIDO, and what kind of authenticators we offer, both physical and also virtual smart cards. And I will show a small short demo about the virtual smart card. So this will be my session. I think you already saw this slide and this number, and I just want to highlight again after Paul that indeed, so the still the more than 80% of the successful hacks start with some kind of identity issue, with stolen passwords, leaked passwords, reused passwords, and as we are humans, we still want to simplify our life and reuse our passwords and use easy to guess passwords. So password is the new mainframe, as somebody said that. So it's very old. It's very hard to get rid of it. So passwords are still with us. However, indeed, we should be fully passwordless and use secure multi-factor authentication solutions. So what are the answers we can offer for you? So we offer PKI and FIDO, but this is not offered just by us, because we want to sell those solutions, but also suggested by different cybersecurity agencies, both in Europe and in the States. Also, there is an executive order in the States that all federal system must be accessed with two-factor phishing-less authentication, namely FIDO2 or PKI. And also, I think the director of CISA said that the gold standard of the multi-factor authentication are PKI and FIDO. So all major security agencies says that you have to use those solutions. Also, you saw this Gartner slide. Gartner also says that yeah, you can still use your old OTP or mobile push solutions. However, if you want to invest into the future, and if you want to invest your money wisely, then you should use PKI, or they call it X509 or FIDO. So this was the first part. It's, the less technical part. So in the next section, I will talk about our smart cards and PKI offers. So PKI, as you know, it's widely used in I think in every and all industry segments, and used for many use cases. So it means that for endpoint access, for email security, file security, signatures. It's also, as mentioned by Paul, we can combine this physical and logical access. So PKI is with us since the Windows 2K at least, so more than 20 years. So it's a very widely used mature technology. And I felt that in the last years, when we see this this advent of this secure passwordless multi-factor authentication demand, people start to rediscover also the PKI, because PKI is a secure multi-factor authentication, passwordless. So it's a perfect fit from the past in the current how to say demands. Okay, so what we can offer as Thales, I think the most important takeaways from these slides that it's very easy to use. So it means that it can be used plug and play. We offer different interfaces, which means that you can use both contact and also contactless smart cards. Our smart cards are certified, common criteria, ADAS mainly for Europe, and FIPS for outside Europe. So mainly for Middle East, Africa, and of course for the United States. We offer also this hybrid smart card. This is this combined physical and logical access cards or badge cards, we can say. We offer the latest cipher support, so RSA 4 kilo, ECC up to 521. We can tailor the PKI applet, which means that that we can set many things within the PKI applet. For example, pin settings like pin complexity, pin length, pin retry, etc. And also we offer the customization of the external look. So we can print artwork, we can print security printing features, we can laser grave different numbers, for example, serial numbers on that card. And I think this is the most important value add that we can combine this physical logical access. We can do this security printing and artwork printing, and also later you will see that we can also combine PKI and FIDO in the same card and tokens. Physical access control, so you can use, as we said, for building access, room access, and also the same card you can use for access to IT resources. In this field, so in this physical access control field, we work together with the major players. So I think the two most well-known are the NXP and also HID. So as you can see from the oldest MyFair Classic, we support up to the latest MyFair S5 EV3, and the same for HID, from the very old procs up to the latest HID South access solution. We also work with other vendors like Legic, for example, or EM4200. So this is the physical access control. The next slide is about the security printing feature. And as you can see, those features you can find also on your ID cards, on your bank cards. So this can remind us the strong heritage we have from the old Gemalto days, because nowadays we are Thales, DIS, but in the past we were Gemalto, and also Axalto, Gemplus, SafeNet, Aladdin, so many well-known names in the IT industry. And also, as you can see, we also offer these security features not just for our smart cards, but also for our ID cards, passports, bank cards. So basically, the smart cards are done on the same manufacturing line as the ID cards. So I think it means that the security of the manufacturing is also very high. The next slide is the CMS. You have seen also many slides, and you will see also the how it works together. Thales with Versasec. As you have heard, we are long-term partners with Versasec, and I think it's a very good and complex solution. And Versasec supports from day one all of our new tokens and smart cards, and as mentioned by Paul, you can use it both for PKI and FIDO lifecycle management. The next slide is about the middleware. This is a small piece of software you have to use on your endpoints to be able to talk to the smart cards and tokens. I think the most important thing is that on the bottom side, you can use it plug and play on your Windows, and on the top side you can see that we offer the full token and smart card management via SafeNet authentication clients. And here the most important that it's not supported just under Windows, but also on Linux and Mac. So it means that you can use all of our tokens and smart cards both on Linux and Mac too, not just on Windows. So this was about PKI. I don't know if you have any point or question. I can't see the chat, or I can move forward with the FIDO part. Okay, then I move to the FIDO. FIDO, what is FIDO? FIDO is a new standard, stands for Fast Identity Online. This is a new open standard to be able to use easy and secure authentication solution, mainly for the web services. It comes from the B2C world. So it means that on the first days, it was used on, or you could use on, for example, Gmail, Facebook. So mainly on your personal use cases, and then now it's moved to the enterprise world. So compared to PKI, FIDO offers less use cases because this is just authentication only, compared to PKI, which also offers email encryption, signing, and not just authentication. The standard is maintained by an independent company called FIDO Alliance. Of course, all major tech company are part of it. We are also part of it. We have a board member seat there, and the standard is now this FIDO 2.1, and all of the FIDO standards has mainly two parts. First is, as you can see on the bottom side, this local or CTAP. This describes how the endpoint, I mean, for example, a PC talks to the FIDO authenticator, and the other part is the online or WebAuthn, which describes how the endpoint talks to the FIDO server. The benefits of FIDO, the first is very important, that the security is based on the same as the PKI, which means that there are asymmetric key pairs. Public key is known by the FIDO service. Private key is owned and known only by you, and you can prove your identity by do some crypto operations with your private key, and the FIDO service with the non-public key or the public key pair can check or validate you. And if you pass out this validation, then your identity is proved. It's passwordless, so it means that there is no option for phishing. And again, it's very easy to set up. It's an open standard. I think if you check any of new web service, very likely the first option which they will support for secure MFA, this will be the FIDO authentication, or sometimes called passkeys, or sometimes they call it security key. Maybe one more important thing, that FIDO also can be used for Windows login. So not just for web services, but also for endpoint access. How we can support you with the FIDO journey? We also have tokens. We also have smart cards, tokens, both USB-A, USB-C, contactless. We will have soon also the biotoken. On the smart card side, we also have FIDO only smart card with fingerprint reader, or we can combine the FIDO and PKI on the well-known ID Prime MD smart cards. The next slide is about this convergence, both PKI and FIDO. So it means that I think almost all new Thales tokens supports both PKI and FIDO, and also we can offer the convergence of physical access and logical access based on PKI and FIDO. So basically, we can support all this in one badge or smart card. Just want to highlight again that because many of our competitors had in the past the contactless tokens, now we also have these kind of tokens, USB-C, and also equipped with NFC. The last circle says this enterprise FIDO ready. In the next session, you will hear a lot about this enterprise FIDO or Thales enterprise FIDO features. But here I just would like to summarize them. First, let's talk about the standard FIDO 2.1 features. So if these features are supported any of the FIDO 2.1 certified tokens, as you can see, this is features which can support the more restrictive enterprise use cases, like PIN and enforced PIN authentication, because FIDO standard in the makes possible to be able to use the FIDO token or the FIDO authentication without typing the PIN. Again, because this whole FIDO came from the B2C world. Or, for example, you can set the minimum PIN length which is also, I think, can support the FIDO or can support the enhanced security controls within the companies. And on the top of these standard features, you can see that we have our own Thales enterprise features on the FIDO 2.1 tokens and smart cards. We came from the PKI world, so for us the admin pin is a very well-known concept. So it means that you can set up this admin pin, or you can call it also manage mode. With this mode, you can ensure that some of the sensitive operations can be done only with this FIDO admin pin, similar to the similar how the PKI also works, because that you also have this this admin pin option. The next is the whitelist management, which means that you can set on which sites you can use the FIDO token. Again, this is also helps to use the FIDO in the enterprise environment, which means a more secure and more controlled way. And maybe the last option, the spin unblock feature, is I think it's a very nice feature. By default, you can reset your pin only after you reset the FIDO token, which means that you will lose all the keys stored on the FIDO key. With this option, when user forgets the pin, his or her pin, you can still use your admin pin just to reset the user pin, but without losing access to those keys. But again, you will hear and you will see much more about those FIDO features in the next session. And the last section, my last section, is about our virtual smart card, or we call it ID Prime virtual, or we can call it IDPV. So why we need virtual smart card? Because sometimes it's easier to use virtual smart card, for example, for VDIs, for mobile phones. In some cases, when, for example, people lost their physical PKI cards, as a temporary solution, we can offer this. Or as I can see in the last year, many of the companies wants to get rid of the physical tokens, so maybe because they have many sites, maybe they are a large company and they don't want to ship those tokens and cards, and maybe they have users with not high profile users or VIPs, and they think that, okay, for them we can offer also this virtual smart card option. If you compare our solution with others, what we can see is that typically others stores the keys and the certificates only within the TPM, which means that the user is bound to the physical hardware. So he or she can use this virtual smart card, and the certificate stored on that smart card only on his or her workstation laptop. And if he or she sits next to the or sits at the next table and wants to use the same on the next workstation, then he or she will not be able to use it. In our solution, we store it. We store the keys and the certificates on the server side, which means that basically you can get access to the smart cards on any computer within the company, or also you can use those certificates on your phones. Of course, we call it as online mode. Of course, in this offline mode, we also store the certificates and the keys in the TPM, because of course on the endpoint side there is no other good choice to store those sensitive key. So again, in most cases, this is very good for VDI, VVIOD solutions. Also, there is a digital signature interface of the IDPV, so you can use also for sign files, documents, and also integrate with the document management solution. And very important to mention that, of course, Versasec supports our virtual smart card solution. Little bit look under the hood. So there is, on the top left side, you can see the IDPV endpoint. Currently Windows, but will be supported on the Linux and Mac. Basically, to be able to load the virtual smart card, you have to pass an MFA authentication, because how we solve the expectation of the multi-factor. The first factor in case of the physical smart card, then that you have the card. In this case, the first factor is that you can pass this multi-factor authentication. This can be any OpenID Connect-based IDP. And of course, this second factor is that you know the PIN of the smart card. Middle side, you can see there is an IDPV server, and there is the DB server where we store all the keys and certificates. All the DB information is encrypted by a key which is known only by the HSM. So it means that even if somebody can steal the DB information, they will not be able to use those information because it's encrypted. And then when there is a crypto operation like sign a file or sign an
did we lose it?
Endre, you muted?
Andre's got muted.
Endre, you went muted.
Yeah,
no
she's
idea
got
why.
muted.
Sorry. No idea why I went mute. Didn't touch anything. Sorry. Where did you lost me?
I don't know. 30 seconds, I think, or like.
You were talking about user key virtual card data. I think it's the second row.
Yeah. So you mean this IDPV server? This part?
Yes.
Sorry. So the IDPV server. So the IDPV endpoints collects all the information, like what should be signed, sent to the IDPV server. Then IDPV server collects also the key from the DB and send all the information to the HSM. And on the HSM or within the HSM, the HSM signs, for example, that email or that file, and then send back the signed data to the IDPV server, and then server sends back to the IDPV endpoint. So it means that any and every sensitive operations happen within the HSM. And of course, in case of the offline mode, we can use the TPM. So instead of the HSM in the offline mode, it happens within the TPM. So this is how it works. Basically, from user point of view, you will see that except the first step, when you have to pass this multi-factor authentication, use the physical smart card and the virtual smart card. It's basically the same. So just you have to type the PIN, and that's all. And my last slide is about the mobile mode or mobile use of IDPV. Here we are working with VMware, so it means that your phone must be managed by VMware Workspace ONE, and then after a strong authentication, you can download your keys and certificates from the IDPV portal to this VMware PIFD app, and this PIFD app protects and stores the keys, and you can set that within this VMware mobile ecosystem which apps can have access to those keys. Typically, these are the email apps and also the browsers. So this was the mobile IDPV use case, and now I can start the demo. Is there any question in the chat? Or okay, first I start the demo and then try to answer if there is any. In the first video, you will see that I use the Versasec CMS user app. So this is a user self-service app which you can use to get the certificates on the smart card. So let me start it, and you will see that here I will choose the pre-configured template. Sorry, it was just not visible for some reason. But here I chose the template, then I have to pass the authentication. Here you can set on the CMS side if I have to authenticate myself again, or I can use the existing Windows domain access to issue the certificate. Here you can see that the CMS goes to the CA and will issue the certificate for me. And at the end, you will see that also as part of this self-service templates, I have to set, of course, my PIN to be able to use or get access to the certificate on the smart card. Yeah, so this is the last step that I have to set the PIN, and then I get the feedback that everything went smoothly. So let me go to the second video. This is the video. You will see that I'm at the Windows logon screen, and the virtual smart card is not yet visible within the system. So first I have to pass this smart card, the MFA authentication. Of course, we use here our STA, and we log in using an Windows app which generates the passcode, or can be used with the mobile pass. And then you can see the smart card is visible within the system. So you see that after that point, basically from that point, the usage of physical or virtual smart card is the same. So you have to type the PIN, and the system lets you in. And also you can use this smart card to, for example, log into any other web system which supports certificate-based authentication. This will be the next demo case, and so sign in, and then you can see that there is an option to choose from those certificates stored on the virtual smart card. Of course, you have to type the PIN, and then the system will let you in. In this case, this is then Microsoft 365 service. And the last demo case will be the file signing. So very standard PDF signing. You will see also that doesn't matter for the application if I use the virtual smart card or the physical smart card. Basically, the applications browser. So, for example, in this case, the Adobe just use the standard crypto interfaces offered by the operating system. So they don't know if they talk to a virtual smart card or a physical smart card. Again, you have to type your PIN, and the file is signed. So I think that's all I wanted to show you. So I'm stop my sharing and go back to the chat. Let's see if there is any question for me. I think there is no questions, or then I also ask here if you have any point or question. If not, then I would let's pass the floor to Rudy. Rudy, the floor is yours. And thanks.
Hi, nicely
Thank
done,
you.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, nicely done, presenters. So I was just sitting here thinking, what are you guys thinking, during the presentation? For goodness, there's so much information to digest, and there's this test coming, how am I going to pass this, blah, blah, blah. There's a couple of clues I can give you, and maybe I can get a slap for that, but is just listen to the presenters, take some notes, very simple. So, and the test is yours. You can get a high score you can get. So very, very, very simple. So, okay, so I'm just going to move on. I'm going to share this presentation with you. Everybody can see this, I hope. So my name is Rudy Solman, and I work for Thales and IM department, specifically deal with FIDO, PKI infrastructure. Yeah, let's crack on without further ado. So first of all, I just want to break it down to the table of content. that I'm going to be presenting on. First is we're going to be talking about our proposed solution. We're going to be talking about, you know, vSEC CMS and architecture of it. We're going to be talking about some key features. And we'll be highlighting specifically FIDO 2.1 features, how they actually work or integrated with vSEC CMS. And I'm going to be, you know, showing you some demo. I've recorded some demo, and I'm going to be leaving the floor to my colleague from Versasec, John, and he'll be actually then showing you a live environment of his demo environment. He's going to be showing you actually the portal, how it works with PKI as well. So it'll be all fun. So I'd say just get a drink, you know, just relax and buckle up and put your geeky techie hat on, and let's crack on with this. So our proposed solution. So what we're going to be talking about is that the proposed solution from Thales consists of two components. So number one is that we actually sell authenticators, so cards, different form factors. You know, this has all been done. Some of the information I have to overlap. And so you have cards on the left. So you would have PKI FIDO with physical access. You have biometric as well with it that you can, you know, what have you. And then you have obviously other form factors like USB-C, USB-A's, also in combination with PKI and FIDO. It depends on what exactly you want to have. And you have this nice little token that's coming out next year, which has got also biometric. It has PKI and FIDO all in one, and had different kind of form factors as well. And the next component of our proposed solution is lifecycle management, and this is the vSEC that we've been raving about during this meeting. We've been talking a lot about it, and we want to see how it works. We need to see it in action. So, and this is a nice proposition, and this is something that we offer to a lot of the customers, you know, specifically that don't have tokens, and they're big customers, so large enterprise customers as well. And the reason for that is because we want to achieve full life cycle flow in one environment. And a lot of the customers come to us and say, well, Entra ID, for example, he can't provision the tokens, you know, on behalf of the users. And this is what exactly vSEC can achieve for you, you know, without tokens. So let's just jump on. So vSEC, basically, I've taken a snapshot of this. And this is basically a critical role of Versasec. This is exactly what Versasec is good for. So it manages the full cycle of token and smart cards. You have different stages. You basically start from scratch, you know, with an unregistered token or a card. When the user maybe starts the employment and they're given a blank card, it goes to the admin, or, you know, and the admin issues the card, and it goes into the issued and activated token. And when the obviously user finishes their employment, or employment is terminated, he hands that card back. Admin goes back to the portal. He will basically revoke the card, and the card goes back to the repository, ready to be issued to another user. And this is what vSEC is really good for. And this is something that you know, that customers absolutely adore about this platform. Okay, so vSEC comes with hosting environment. There's like three kind of sides of it. First of all, is it has an on-prem side of vSEC. So you basically download an application into your server, you install it, and then you look after your own, obviously, infrastructure, you know, but we can help you and support your server in terms of vSEC CMS server itself. So we can troubleshoot it. We can help you to update it if it needs to be. We can answer some of the questions. You know, you can raise a support ticket. It comes with a support, and you can see on the right. So you have premium support if you want to go there, which has got 24/7. And you also you can put that on-prem server yourself, not necessarily on-prem. You can put that on-prem server on a private cloud. So whatever you have there, you know, you could have a AWS, you can have Azure as well, and you can say, I want to set this on the cloud, no problem. You know, but you will still have to look after your own infrastructure. We'd again look after your server, we support, yeah, and everything like that. So, and the next step would be a next option is when you actually decide to say, okay, well, I don't really have infrastructure for that. I don't want to pay to Azure for extra VMs and blah, blah, blah. I don't want them to back up everything. I want Versasec to take care of all that. No problem. So Versasec created a package for those customers, and they basically said, well, there you go. You can have this on a subscription based, and we're going to take care of all your server, all the backend stuff, maintenance of database, backup, validation, updating and upgrading your server, the lot. So we also can offer you Versasec support with all that stuff. So that this is an option for you that you can have. You can speak to your customers directly about it. What is the best solution for them? But this is what obviously we offer, you know. Okay, architecture. Are you ready for this? Right, so the vSEC CMS architecture, and I put specifically on-prem, but this pretty much architecture is very similar in terms of components, how it runs anywhere in the cloud, on the, you know, and on-prem. It consists of 4 components. One is a vSEC CMS server. The other one is a communication services, operator, consoles, and we got endpoint, that we call it, you know, user self-service portal. We're going to drill into it now in detail one by one and explain what each component does. So this is the first component, and this is a very important, and this is a vSEC CMS server itself. Pretty much, if you don't add any of those components on top, you know, subcomponents, it has to sit on Windows Server 2016, 2022. I believe it will work on 2025. I'm not sure. Probably need confirmation of vSEC. But there's another subcomponents that you can connect to it. So you can connect to IDP. There's various IDPs at the moment available. So you can have obviously Entra ID star, which is our IDP from Thales. You have an option of ping, Okta. There'll be other ones added as well, and obviously you have some other IDPs that vSEC are working on to add to as well. So you can add your own HSM if you want to protect obviously your admin key as well, and encrypt everything with HSM. You also have an option to add your own database. You can do event system and data export as well. It has a mechanism that you can actually set up to ingest the data using SIEM or a different type of event viewing system, external ones. So there is a way to do that. I'll cover that later. You can also have a local directory. For example, MS Active Directory. You could have OpenLDAP as well. This is OpenLDAP, open source. It's been done before. You can just plug it into it, and you can basically then see the users from there and assign them to the cards and provision the tokens there. You can also connect CA, which is a certificate authority in this case, It supports quite a few of them. So obviously the most common one is a Microsoft CA. But I think there's up to like about 15 you can add different types. So, and of course vSEC, adding more and more. So it's mostly most common ones you can use. Right. So moving on. So the next, so I just want to highlight about HSM. So if you're currently using HSM, you can leverage the HSM and add that to your vSEC as an API. And so you can then obviously manage to store. It stores all the master keys in a Versasec administration key operations. That means the key operations include like credential registrations and pins. So each time you do all these kind of tasks, then you use the HSM for that. So the next thing is you do need to be aware that if you do deploy your own HSM, or then you need to consider that it has to be compatible with the PKCS 11 interface. So some HSMs, like for example Azure, Vault, it might not be compatible with that. So something you might need to check. We do provide you with Thales HSM. When you say provide, we don't give it with that together, but we can sell you separately. We have a separate department that can have a chat with you and talk about basically how it works and stuff like that. And Luna HSM, for example, is one of the most common HSM platforms you have. It's quite robust. It's used in a lot of environments. And the Thales Depot is another version. It's mostly like an online version. You can actually use it on-prem as well, but it's a software based, so HSM. So you also have obviously other third-party HSM options that you can consider, and this is a link you can click on, and you can see all the HSMs compatible with vSEC. Right, so the second component is a vSEC CMS communication services. So it's another component, very important because it handles all the communication that that it has between the portals. So when you're talking about operator portal and the user portal, so it basically communicates. So if you have, for example, admin and agent portal install or app, it talks to it and basically extracts the information. You can see everything in the database and in the CMS server. Instead of going directly to the server, you can have multiple of those. But this service specifically handles the communication between those ports and in that. It runs on gRPC, but I did put SOAP because it's still supported. I know it's an old protocol and it will be deprecated, hopefully with the new releases that are coming up next year. We don't know yet, but that's basically the functionality of that component. The next component is the operator itself. And so why you need that is because you can have a server running somewhere in the cloud, on local, on-prem somewhere, maybe in a different location, but you need to actually operate maybe from completely different location where your card readers are, where you need to issue your tokens. So in this case, you install an app on that machine, you install it on a client machine, and you create a connection between that software, that client, and vSEC CMS. And once you've created that connection, then you can issue the tokens directly from the computer where that software is installed. So it comes with two flavors. So one of them is a full admin console. And a full admin console normally comes obviously with all the features. And if you are a system owner equal to like a global admin that has got the keys to the kingdom, you can do everything on it. So you've got all sorts of options here that you can consider. And then you have a light version of Agent Console that it gives you a bit of a restricted access to all the features. I'd say you won't have all the features here. And the main purpose of using this agent, it is still an admin console, don't get me wrong, but it's designed for specific operators that require only do specific tasks. Let's just say they only allowed to go into life cycle, issue revoke tokens and inactivate tokens and stuff like that. They don't have access to create new templates, add new cards, manage other things, you know, and this obviously can be installed specifically again on the operator's machines. End users come to them and say, I need my token issued. And that's what they do. Once they've done it, off you go. You can go and authenticate against your environment. So that's simple as that. Now you have vSEC CMS user portal. It's I mean, there's all sorts of terminology going on here. So user self-service, I would say a user app rather. So it's an app that is installed on a client computer. That client computer could be a shared machine. You know, it might sit somewhere in a common room, foyer, you know, wherever you decide to put that in. But the purpose of it, the users come to it, turn it on or whatever, go to that app. If it's not open, open it. And to do some simple tasks such as, you know, unblocking the pin, resetting the pin, changing the pin, and if it's allowed, you can even provision a new token directly from it. So it's quite handy little app that you can have. Now you can add another sort of flavor to that app, is that you could integrate a web interface using API to it, and you can then obviously add your own buttons, colors, your logo, and you could change colors, whatever. And then in this case, you can literally just show the customer, so the end user comes to the computer and they open the web interface itself and they use that instead of the app. But the app has to be installed, and in the back end it has to be installed because it has to invoke the tasks from that user app. So if you, for example, go to you know, unblock the pin, you click the unblock the pin on the web start and invokes the specific task from the user application, and you just continue your, you know, task and do that there. I'll show that later. So the next sort of flavor that comes that the user self-service portal has is a credential provider app. So that app basically allows you to self-provision a FIDO and PKI token as soon as you open the laptop, you know, before you even sign into it. So, and that's quite handy, is that if you issued with a new laptop, you get this app installed or pre-installed, the user can just literally self-provision a token and access with that token their environment. It's quite handy. This is an example of a user app. So you could see select credential from the reader. So you got a reader in there listed. You got primary smart card with a pin. You have to put the old pin, new pin, and confirm the pin, and then you basically reset. This is just a snapshot. But you got other features on top. You got credential certificates, unblock pin, and stuff like that. So the next one, this is gives you an idea of what web start looks like. So you have, obviously, I've designed my own sort of buttons there, colors, and you can see the app on the background over there on the right, bottom right, is a back end of it. So it has to be installed on it. And this is a credential provider, a bigger snapshot of this. So you could see it happens, before the user signs in with that, with unprovisioned token. So this could be quite handy if you have a user maybe somewhere remote and doesn't go to the office, and the office will send them this laptop and send them the token, and they just automatically go through self-provisioning without showing up at the office. Right, so vSEC CMS Cloud. This might be interesting. So this is a little snapshot, I'd say. Of course, there's more going on there at the back end. But as I mentioned before, we have vSEC Cloud set up that we provide to the customer, or to you in that matter. And this basically, we have individual, and it sits strictly on Azure, so we don't have at the moment with any other cloud providers. So we have a dedicated server for each customer. They have dedicated space for that, designated for obviously their company. And we obviously have a connector to it to look after that server, that infrastructure. We use Azure Bastion. That's another form of our RDP protocol that we use. So if a customer raises a ticket, and if there is some kind of trouble with the infrastructure, we're fully accountable for that. We'll look after that if it needs to be rebooted or whatever. So so we look after all that infrastructure for you. Right, integration with Thales Authenticators. So in vSEC, you have a repository, I'd say, of all the authenticators that are supported by vSEC. So and so you have a list of here. Some of them are not actually listed. So each time we, as Thales, introduce a new token, even before it actually GA'd, to other over there publicly available, we send a sample to vSEC. vSEC would test the token to see, how it works, and they will eventually, once they fixed it, they add the specific number to the token, and it starts working. So they tested the token, it's ready to be, publicly available, and it starts working, and then we say, okay, well, this token is now compatible, and you can use that token on vSEC. So it's very important for us and for you guys. If you say, I have this token, knocking about, and I want to make sure that it's compatible, you come to us or to vSEC and say, okay, we got this token, can you check that it's compatible? Most of our tokens, they are compatible, but if you do introduce some other tokens, just make sure you check. So right, CMS database and then external database. So most important information that you need to know, that the database stores information about credential registered and managed by vSEC along with the configuration settings. What does that mean? Basically, without the database that is attached to vSEC CMS, is just an empty shell. So most of the information, especially pertaining to your cards, the serial numbers and stuff like that, is stored on that database. So it's very important for you to think about that. So potentially all the details of the users as well. So that's that. And then there's another thing to consider, is that when you deploy the vSEC CMS, you need to think about how much the database of yours is going to be. So there is a formula that vSEC CMS came up with, which is quite actually good. It gives you a bit of assistance, how potentially, where you want to put the SQL server, how much is it going to cost me, how difficult is going to run in, how quickly, how big of a server I need, stuff like that. So it's for every 1,000 credentials, you roughly require about 100 megabyte. So this is something you have to go on and consider. And this is the external database sort of compatibility, or say this is something that Versasec published here in the URL. That most of the SQL service time from 2017 upwards is supported, and we also have Azure SQL is supported at the moment. So that's that. Okay, there's another thing I want to cover here is the failover, or say high availability, is that you can use high availability of your choosing mostly, and there are obviously other strategies, but this is something that Versasec has been tested, and I personally got involved in one of those meetings with a customer when they had to actually check this, and they used Windows, Microsoft Windows Server failover clustering services. And this was quite interesting, that you actually have multiple consoles connected. So it provides you high availability, of course, in the event of when the active node goes down, the passive node takes over, and you will have seamless switch over between the active and passive when the passive becomes active, and vice versa. And this is what a lot of customers say. Well, okay, well, I need to make sure that that doesn't happen. That we're not going to lose any connection when we have to provision multiple cards to the users. No, it's not going to happen because it's a seamless transition. So, and obviously it also has a centralized database. A centralized database is connected to those active and passive nodes. So it's not going to be like active node has got a separate storage. You'll have a shared storage. You have basically that shared storage. So the operator consoles are connected. Instead of connecting to an active node on its own, it connects via the network to the actually clustering or cluster IP, which could be either individual IP, a specific IP, or could be a DNS as well. And then basically you have an active and passive nodes connected to MS cluster IP. And then in this case, the operator consoles, they don't actually even know what computer they're connected to if in the event of disaster. They just connect it to IP, and then clustering services look after that. So, and then you got a shared storage. So this is ultimately a diagram that represents the failover as well. So moving on. vSEC CMS features is number one, it comes out of the box with reporting. And this is something important, is that this is a separate platform and it has its own reporting, I'd say, tool as well. So you can request specific reports. It doesn't give you, I'd say, graphical representation as much as, might be you need it. But it gives you a lot of text representation, and for certain companies, we've seen it's sufficient to produce reporting, but some companies want to take it further and they want to maybe extract more detailed information. They want to create some sort of advanced reports to publish in a Power BI, or maybe even capture it by SIEM like Splunk or Azure Sentinel. And they want to dissect the information further, then in that case, you can plug in your Splunk to SQL Server, or there's an REST API that you can connect to. You can create a REST API service, vSEC, run it, and then you can connect to syslogs, extract syslogs, and ingest the information via SIEM as well. So so that's pretty much that on reporting. That's very good here. Admin permission roles. So why is that important? So admin permission role is basically another word for saying our back in a way. So it's it helps the users to give you the admins to segregate their roles and permissions. Let's just say that you have a factory 1 that needs to access only specific tasks they need to do on the console. Then you can create a role, maybe just call it factory 1, and then you say, right, you give them specific permissions. They only, for example, allow to issue cards, maybe, and that's that, or revoke cards. They're not allowed to see anything else. You know, they're not allowed to do anything else. And this is what this admin permission role does. It can specify a specific, you know, permissions for specific admins and or operators. Right. So you can also create a role, a customer role, and you can say, I can only give him those 2 or 3 permissions, because you can originally can choose from the available operators. They are sort of like box standard restricted permissions, but you can also go a bit more granular, and you can design your own role and stuff like that. Yeah, this is an example. Issuing revocation, pin unblocking, configuration. You can, you know, use whatever you want. There's about over 150 type of permissions. Another thing is you can do with it, and this is amazing, because let's just say you're in a factory 1 and you want to create an operator for that factory 1, but you want that operator to only issue or administer tokens for that specific factory. You don't want them to go and issue somebody else outside that factory. And this is another feature that Versasec has got, where you can, I would say it's a segregation, group segregation. You create a group for that factory. You put the you know, that admin operator in that group, and he becomes basically an admin for that group, and he can only do it, administer the users in that group. So that's an amazing feature as well. It locks you to that specific group, and it gives you peace of mind, and obviously helps you with achieve some security compliance there. Batch issuance station is when you have a lot of cards. This is pretty much card-based issuance. So you have a specific printer. There's a list of printers, by the way, that you can get that are compatible with vSEC. vSEC can issue that list for you if you require. You can plug in the printer, pop a lot of cards in, and just print them out. And so you can decide what you're going to print there. It's up to you. There's a template, and yeah, obviously I'm talking on a high level. There might be a little bit more complexity to it. Depends what exactly you want, but in a nutshell, it is doable. And the operator orchestrates multiple smart card printers flow, and they will start printing basically the cards with all the you know, pictures, serial numbers, whatever is required there for high volumes. Yeah. FIDO 2.1 features. This is a very high level infrastructure for FIDO 2 architecture. It's pretty much the same, but what we have is we have a Microsoft ID now and star on top, and obviously other IDPs if you want to integrate them. And so via the cloud, it talks to CMS server. And obviously other components that we covered before, they remain pretty much the same, you know. And this is an exciting bit for you. This is how the enrollment methods work with Entra ID. I'll show you how it works with STAR. So the this is the first type of enrollment. Let's just say that you're a new employee. You've been sent an email from HR to say that you need to go to your admin. Admin will issue you a FIDO token with which you can access the resources so you can actually do your job. So he goes to the office, you know, admin pulls out from a box or whatever, a USB or a card with FIDO. He pops in the card reader or in a USB portal, issues it, assigns it to the user, passes the keyboard to the user, and say to him, just enter a PIN, create a PIN. He enters the PIN, confirms this, done. He's issued the card. The user goes straight to Entra ID, authenticates successfully, and starts doing the job. So that's the most common, I'd say, use case that we've come across, and a lot of customers of ours really love this because they say, oh well, Entra ID cannot do it. No, you can't. You can't do it with the platform, especially GUI platform. So that's a one flow. Very good. The second one, the option B, it could be when the operator is not with the end user. So the end user may be somewhere, they're working from home, and the operator issues the card, assigns it to that user, which is an Entra ID or local ID that syncs to Entra ID, and then he puts maybe the token in the envelope, sends it to the user. Or you might just say, okay, well, this token is issued. I'm going to leave it in that box or leave it with the whoever has to give that token to them. And also maybe send a pin. It could be a random pin. It could be a static pin. Send it by email, or maybe send it by post in a different envelope. You know, it depends on how you want to play this. And then you could maybe enforce a policy with Versasec to say that as soon as that user signs in with that PIN, it can force you to reset that PIN. So it gives you peace of mind that you know that PIN is going to be to the end user, so they will remember it better as well. Yeah, and they can create obviously the PIN complexity in terms of length and stuff. So that's one thing. So once they've received it, and if they go to Entra ID, it will prompt them to reset the PIN automatically. There's nothing they need to do. So and our policy is pushed on a hardware level, on a token level, rather than by anything else. So that's very important for you to know. They will be pushed by that policy. If you go to your Windows 11, and if it's Azure Joint Device, it will also prompt you to reset the PIN as well. So they will not be able to sign in with that PIN that was given to them all the way. So C, operator issues the card, assigns it to the user, sends it to the envelope or gives it to the user. User goes to the self-service portal. Remember that app that is installed on a kiosk mode, sits somewhere in the foyer, sits somewhere in the common room. He plugs in that token or a card, whatever, and he activates it. So it could be a token that could be blocked PIN. You could just unblock it. It will probably ask him to confirm his identity or her identity by going to Microsoft Entra ID, maybe using a tap and stuff like that. So there are different mechanisms how you can verify your identity. And the last bit is where the user receives maybe laptop. Mostly it's for remote users, really. And you'll be given a blank corporate USB or USB token, whatever. And then they plug it into the laptop. They open a laptop. Before they log into it, they will have to issue that token, go through the whole issuance from scratch, you know, put the UPN, whatever. But they do have to go through some sort of verification, you know, to say that this person is who he is or whatever. And then once they've done that, you can access the resources straight away. So these are four flows. We've come across flow A, and flow C is quite common as well. And we've just completed one of the POCs with one of the customers, and majority of their use case was just A, because it's a lot secure. There's less friction for the end user, because the end user doesn't need to be educated much. They don't need to be explained how it works, because admin is going to be with them. Right. This is an enrollment method with STAR. Now, STAR is a bit different. STAR has got another layer on top. So it doesn't matter which flow you choose. Let's just say you go to the flow A. You will activate the token, but the end user will still need to go to STAR, and there will be another sort of step that they have to complete to be able to access STAR. Normally, it's you could trigger a flow by sending an email with an OTP. It could be a local domain password. Normally those kind of two things. It depends on your setup and how you want to do this. But yeah, that's a difference there. So I mean, you might say, okay, why is that? I think from our perspective, we just add extra layer of security, you know, just in case. Some people see that as a friction, but some people see that's actually a nice feature, you know. So, and you know, it all depends. Right. So FIDO 2.1. This is what Endre was talking about earlier. So Endre mentioned that we have FIDO comes in two sort of shapes. Is a FIDO 2.1 standard, and he mentioned something else, which I'm going to cover in a minute. So FIDO 2.1 standard is obviously is a standard developed by FIDO Alliance, and applies to all tokens that need to adhere to that standard. And all those tokens that come with that standard has to have these features. So they normally have these features. I'm probably going to reiterate what Endre was saying. So enforced pin change is a standard again. So if you create a random pin or a set pin, and if it's enforced by the policy, in this case would be a vSEC, then the user will have to reset the pin as soon as he tries to log in to the resource. The next bit on the bottom is define the minimum pin length. Is you can enforce what length of your pin it can be. So you can be, you know, from I think it starts from 4. I'm not sure if it's up to 16 digits, but you cannot do the alphanumeric at the moment. So it's only numeric. So just to remember that. So enforced pin authentication. This is an interesting one. So if your IDP or RP, for that matter, RP is a relying party that supports FIDO, does not require to have a pin to authenticate with FIDO, then you can create a policy with vSEC and enforce the pin anyway. So basically it overrides it. It says, right, okay, I'm going to enforce the policy on the token level instead of listening to what this, you know, RP has to say. Simple as that. Right, this is a standard feature, so it comes with a certified product. So it's a certified product. It's gone through some tests there, and it says, okay, we put the stamp on these tokens. So let me share something interesting here. So this is something Andrew was talking about earlier, is that we went beyond these features. And we called FIDO Enterprise, we call it FIDO Enterprise Beyond. And what you might say, why do we need these features, you know, and why is it not in standard yet? Number one, so we needed these features because the customers requested that we should have. So we decided to put these features in our FIDO 2.1 token, but because they're not standard, they cannot be certified yet. So there will be there's a process how they can be certified, and that's something that we need to discuss with our PM on that. But let me just cover these features, and then we'll talk about something else on the certification, whether that's really important. So FIDO pin unblock is a very, very good feature. So it's, as Endre mentioned before, is that if you block your pin, if you have a standard FIDO 2.1 token, you will have to reset your token, and that's not good enough for a lot of enterprises, because they will have to then lose all the private keys on that. So if you have multiple, let's just say IDPs, and that token or pin is blocked, you just lose all your FIDO keys that are on it. You're gonna have to go through the reprovisioning again. That could be quite burdensome for a lot of the admin and users. So what we've decided to do is, yeah, okay, well, you go to the admin or you go to self-service portal, and you just have a feature to unblock it. And once you've unblocked it, all your private keys remain where they were, and you just go and authenticate to the environment. So there's a less friction for admin and end users. So that's the first one. The next one down is the application allow list. Is you want to specifically allow users to use only these IDPs. Let's just say I want to push, let's just say, Entra ID only to be used with FIDO. That's that. So if somebody buys the token or gets token from the company, and they try to do it to basically provision to some other IDP, they won't be able to do that, because the allow list doesn't list anything else but Entra ID. Again, that gives the customer peace of mind that the corporate user is gonna, you know, do their job in their environment, you know. And the next bit on the right is a very nice feature. It's a block device reset. Oh, this is amazing, because we nearly just sold a product on that another day. The customers say, oh, I want that definitely. Is you can lock the device and push the policy to it and say that a user cannot reset that FIDO token regardless. That they can't go to Windows, they can't reset unless they go to vSEC. Admin can then use their own application, and they can reset it over there. I mean, there would be obviously a self-service portal. You could use that as well. It's a possibility. But I'm saying is that they can only reset it with vSEC in this case. And that again guarantees the admin that they're not going to inadvertently or intentionally reset the the token. Right, going back to certified product is that this product, which has got all the features including standard, at the moment is not certified. But the question I want to ask is, do you really need it certified? What does it mean for that end user, the product, to be certified? Is this going to affect them in terms of compliance? And how is this going to affect them? Are they rather be just having a stamp with a FIDO certified on it, or they try to achieve more of these features, you know, and they try to push these features to the users and give peace of mind to the admins. So we've had a few conversations with the clients where they said, we're not interested in about FIDO certified as long as the FIDO is working properly, it's been tested, it's confirmed it works. We're happy with this. Whereas maybe other companies, they might say, okay, well, we have some sort of compliance that says that our tokens must be certified, you know, with FIDO Alliance. Then, of course, you know, they have to stick to FIDO 2.1 standards. Okay, well, I hope that is clear for you. And I've explained pretty clear graphically for you here. So this is an example of how vSEC manages these I put EF enterprise features. So you've got that feature with EF configuration, so you can block or unblock. It's not blocked. So if it's blocked, reset by user, that means the user cannot reset it. Always require user verification. That means regardless whether your IDP or RP requires PIN, it will be forced. Then there's your allowed list. You can see those 3 links. That means the user can only use these sites to sign in with FIDO. Then you've got set minimum PIN length enforced as well. This is where you can play with the length of the PIN, up and down the arrow. And this is where you can basically say, okay, I'm going to push this policy that it will force the next pin change pin. Right. So that's pretty much it here. So what I'm going to do now, since we still have time, I'm going to show you something. It's going to be exciting. We're going to show you a video of how these user flows work. So let me just show you this now. First of all, I want to show you the flow. Remember the first one, A, when the user comes to or goes to an admin and says, I want my my USB or my FIDO token, and it says no problem. So it pops this in the computer, clicks on issued. You could see it here. Then the system basically goes through all sorts of things here, and it will. This is an important screen, is that this is where the user is extracted from. So I have a connector configured to talk to Entra ID, because Entra ID is acting like a user directory. So I put IRB because that's his name, Irvin, and you see finds his name. I click on it and I start the issuing process, that user. So you can see it assigns the ID here. You got serial number of the card. And I have a token, you saw that before, which has got like a feature with the sensor. So you have to press that token to be able to verify that you're a human being. You have some sort of touch, you know. And so that's issued now to that user. But the next bit is say, Mr. Customer, come over here. I'm gonna create, help you to create a PIN. I'm not doing for you, but you can type that PIN yourself. So he types the PIN, and this is a policy here. You can change the policy, and then initiate. And that's done. So how long did that take? About a minute. So that was quick. The quick 1 minute to provision, activate or issue and activate the token. Simple as that. That's that quick. So the next bit is slightly different. So this user, this admin issues the token, assigns it to the user, specific user, but is not, or she is not, activating it on his behalf, or is going to send it, or she's going to send it to the user. So Dana, Select Dana from the database. So presses that. Now, just want to confirm. You're probably guys asking, "Oh, all right, okay. Well, that means this user can actually issue, the admin can issue the card and assigns the a PIN as well for them, and he can go ahead and authenticate himself. Because what you could do here, you can only allow this admin to do the issuing permission. That means they cannot go beyond that. They can only issue, they cannot activate. So the activation happens on the end user side. Right, so now this is end user. End user gets the token either, by post or whatever. He goes to the office and goes to the shared machine. Shared machine, as he opens up, it shows this. Sees this portal. I clicks on activate token. And he goes, or she goes, it's Dana, she goes through the flow of activating this token. And what it involves, she basically creates a new PIN. But the system says, wait a minute, I need to check that you actually exist in Entra ID, or you actually, you are who you think you are. So I need to go through verification with you. And the verification in this case is built on an extra step. So he connects her to Entra ID. She puts the UPN. And she also, I've created this flow. You can do different type of authentications. That this user is also provided with a temporary access pass, which expires as soon as you provision the token. So she's obviously has to be given the tap at some point. So she provides the tap. Click on block, and the PIN has successfully been set. So she completes the activation of that token, and now she needs to access the resource. There we go. There we go. We're cooking on gas now. That's that. So the next bit is, last but one, is the user is given a new laptop, and they need to issue the token right here, before Windows log on, at the Windows log on option. And as I said, this laptop could be sent preset for this to them if they live, far away. And they also going to be given that USB or card FIDO token. They pop that in, click on issuance, and again, they go through this provisioning flow, which you've seen before, slightly different, a little bit. So issue. Now, before we saw the admin issues for them. Here they have to go themselves all the way from the beginning. So they type, again, it has to take him to verify the identity. In this case, I've created another step to do exactly the same using a tap. I'm just taking my time here, I guess. So that's pretty much it. So they just verified the identity by going to Entra ID using UPN and a tap. Now it looks like it's adding another card, so I already have cards. So remember, you can actually add multiple cards to this user. for information. It has this sensor gesture that you have to press it or touch it. And pretty much we're there now. Yeah, this is where I ask you to create a new pin now. Initiate. And that's okay now. Now, so it doesn't have to unplug the pin, the card itself or token, because the UPN or the identity is read from that card or a pin itself. So this is called discoverable credentials. So the user didn't have to type the UPN at this stage. This is just a common feature of a FIDO 2.0 even. And that's it. So the user connects to, logs into Windows, and obviously SSO kicks in here. So anything that he accesses Windows 3, Microsoft 365, it's all going to be SSO. So they don't have to log in the FIDO again here at this stage. So that's a one. These are different flows that I mentioned. One more thing I want to say, I'm going to show you the difference between the Entra ID and star. So you're probably interested, oh, what's the difference? So the star has another layer, remember, of security right at the end. So we start with a clean user. So this user doesn't have tokens at all, authenticators. Now this is star, by the way, portal. This is our product. You can utilize, for those that use star, they're familiar with that. So in this case, you could see the star is connected to local ID. So you can see that he's extracting that user, Adele, from local ID. That local ID probably is linked via LDAP sync agent. So it's an app that basically synchronizes users from local ID to star. So obviously that user would be in star. So he's just provisioned, issued the token. He's going to activate on their behalf, on her behalf, Adele. And new token, new pin. There you go. Okay, so it's going to reload, refresh. You can see there's a difference here. So it's in the pending status. It's not active. So if you were to issue the token to Entra ID with the same flow, it would be active straight away, and the end user can straight away go to this resource. But what happens, I'll show you what happens now. So the end user now receives the token and tries to access it. So it types to your username, and it prompts them to activate this authenticator. Now, so what I've done here on the picture you saw before, there was a triggering flow to authenticate via OTP on the email. Here, because you have LDAP sync agent, it syncs the hash of the password into star. You can actually now use the domain password to verify your identity. So you have to tap the token, put the pin that you already set, touch your security key, create a nickname. This is just a box standard procedure. Okay, he needs to do it again. Touch the key. And then it's active. You can see the difference between star and Entra ID. So there's another step to it. So some people, as I say, consider this is an amazing feature, adds extra layer of security. Some people might say it could be a friction. So it all depends on what the customer requires from the compliance and stuff like that. A couple of more things, and I'll pass it on to John. So enterprise features, exciting stuff. So allowed list. So remember that EF feature that we're talking about is that you want a user to access or issue tokens only with specific IDPs or RPs, reliant parties. And this is what I'm going to show. So this admin basically accesses an area in vSEC where you can configure that policy. And you've seen that before in a presentation, very last snapshot. You can see over here, there's already login.microsoft.com added. That means he's already allowed to log into Entra ID. But he's going to go beyond. He's going to add another URL. And this is our sort of testing environment RP, reliant party. We can test FIDO tokens, how they work and whether they work. And so he does, okay, so he's just applied the policy and he's going to use the template with that policy and he's going to push that policy to that token. Remember, that policy is pushed on a token level. All the same as here, so touching. Okay, that's done. Activating now. Yeah, just want to pause here very quickly. This one is NFC, PIV, and FIDO hybrid token that has both PKI and FIDO. So when you first create a PIN, it asks you for PKI PIN first, and then it will ask you for FIDO PIN in case you ask that question. There's your answer. So first, he creates a PKI PIN for that, or PIV PIN. But we're only using this token for FIDO at the moment. Now is a FIDO PIN. Okay. Its pins are set, ready to go. So we're going to test it now. So this site is on the allowed list, remember. Yeah, it says there as well. There's a FIDO pin, so there you go, it's registered, it's fine, no problem, because it's on the allowed list. Now we're going to go to another. You're probably familiar with this. This is the WebAuth.io, very similar sort of RP for testing FIDO tokens, but it's not listed on allowed list. There you go. So this is the message that you get in. The security key does not have storage space available for additional credentials. So basically, you're not allowed to go there. You're not allowed to provision the tokens to this RP in this case. Last bit, I want to show you, this is an amazing feature. Everybody wants to see this. Is I want to provision a pushed policy that blocks the user from resetting the PIN, resetting the whole token actually. Very quickly, so you've seen this. So he basically clicks on block over here. He provisions a token, issues the pin, assigns to the user, issues the pin, and then I'm gonna fast track this. He goes to Windows, and you've probably seen this 1,000 times. You know, and he says, okay, well, let me reset this and put maybe something on my own. And this is what's going to happen. Reset. There we go. This is what they see, so they can't do that. So obviously they might contact admin. Oh, I can't reset the pin. It says, why are you resetting the pin? You're not supposed to, you know, because that's the policy of the company. And there you go. So this guarantees your organization that you can only reset the pin or the token with the tools that have been given or allowed to use, you know, by the company. Right. So I'm gonna leave the floor to John now. So let me have a look. Are there any questions there popping up there? Doesn't look like it. So what does that mean?
They all understand what you took them through. Simple.
Yeah. All right then.
Mm,
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's fine. I appreciate that. So yeah, so this going to be recorded. Just remember to take notes, and because some of those questions going to appear will be part of the presentation, mine and somebody else's as well, before and after. So that's it. John, floor is yours, mate. Is John there? He might not be there.
I saw him.
Yeah. I mean, if he's not there, I can crack on. I'll show you something as well. I won't be able to do exactly what he did, but
he's there. He's connected.
he is connected. John, you there, mate? Tatjana, have you got a direct connection to him?
Yeah.
Like a phone call you can make.
Yeah.
This could be some technical difficulties. It's fine. We still have 20 minutes.
Yeah.
We're
In the
probably
meantime,
15.
team, thank you for holding on to. Maybe it's another 20 minutes. We'll wrap up, and my colleague Tatjana will put the QR code for the quiz, so you guys can take participation and get some goodies. A part of that, I believe that would be nice to see how many of you are really into the show and how many of you really enjoyed this show. Okay, we will see that in the outcome. John is back, by the way.
He's back?
Yeah, John is back. Yeah, he just rejoined. Yeah.
John,
are you there?
Mate. Yeah, might be having some issues with the sound.
Maybe.
Okay, good that I'm back.
Someone
I mean,
unmute John. He's saying he cannot unmute himself.
Oh, oh, right, okay. There is an option for which I'll mute him. Some kind of glitch. Microsoft, what the heck?
Maybe
John,
Vivek as organizer, he can unmute John.
himself, yes, isn't it?
Yeah, I
There,
think
there
as
is
an organizer who starts the meeting, they can take a full control.
Correct.
So-
So mute we can do, but unmute has to be done by the attendee itself.
Ah, okay.
yeah, John, have you
So
got an
John
option for
has
that?
Hello, can you hear me? I'm just checking whether I can unmute myself. Yeah.
Yes, we
yes.
can hear you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
then
it's-
John
it's
should be able
got
to
a
unmute
glitch in it.
himself. Yeah.
John, if you can go to the options and there more, go to the audio settings.
He is unmute now.
Yes,
Should be-
John, can you talk? Can't.
All right.
Okay, let's meet then. While my John dealing with technical, I will be sharing my screen and sharing the quiz. Stop sharing. Oh, no, sharing. Okay.
Rudy,
So-
John is asking how about John shares his screen and Rudy, you can talk over. Would that work?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'll do my best to comment. I'll be John's voice.
Okay, yeah. Let me share, because I can share here quickly and then I can give floor to you, Rudy, with John. I will be, you can now scan QR code, which will be lead you to acknowledge quiz. Please be aware that only completing this quiz, you will be eligible to receive diploma of participation. So, and as I mentioned at the beginning of the session, if you score at 100, you will get a gift. I will be sharing a link in the chat as well. So,
Thank you, Tatjana.
yeah, here you go.
Okay, well,
Okay, let me stop sharing. I will be sharing again link and QR code after live demo.
oh, John has tried to rejoin. He's just trying to rejoin.
Trying, yeah.
Can you hear me now?
John. Oh,
Yes,
okay.
John.
What did you do? You pulled some magic there, mate.
I don't know what happened. So I joined through the browser and that worked. I tried to unmute myself. I got the message saying, per policy, if you unmute yourself, you'll be sharing your camera and stuff like that. I click yes, nothing happens. Anyway.
Thought I'm going to be Aaron from Moses now.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Sorry for the wait, guys, but I'm ready. Yeah, ready to go. So I'm sorry. Did I interrupt something else, Tanya?
No, it's all good.
No, you can go.
Go ahead.
All right. Very good. Let me share my screen. So we're going to go through a bit of a live demo just to show you the application in action. We're going to specifically focus on issuance, PKI-based issuance from a Microsoft CA, and we'll use, let me share my screen here. We'll use, I think I have the Thales SafeNet e-token Fusion, similar one that Rudy was using, except we're going to just issue PKI issuance and show it to you a little bit in live action. Now I have my client machine. It's the stimulating the administrator client or the administrator that's going to be performing issuance on behalf of the users. And so if I insert my my token, in this case, I have an admin token. It's going to be used to log into the system. And it's part of a requirement in CMS, accessing CMS. You're going to use hardware-based credential smart cards tokens to access the CMS application. And this is one of my operators. You can assign specific permissions to these operators on what they'll have access to in the system, as well as what tasks they can perform on behalf of the users, what we call the lifecycle tasks. And let's make this full screen. All right, so just to show you a little bit on the backend connections, we have an Active Directory set up. I also have an LDAP set up to my local AD. In CMS, you can use Active Directory, any LDAP-based user directory, or Entra ID as your user directory to assign the device or to the user. And then what we be using here is the Microsoft CA. And so you can use one of many CAs. Basically, the vSEC CMS supports the main PKIs in the market. All the main PKIs are supported. You can use, we have typically customers that might be using, let's say, the Microsoft CA for client authentication tasks, but might need to use more public CAs for digital signature use cases, for example. And you can have both there. Once you have that set up, I have set up a template where basically it configures or shows your workflow on what workflow you'd like to apply for the users that you're going to be issuing the smart cards or tokens to. And on this template, I have retrieval of the users from Active Directory, assigning a certificate from our Active Directory certificate services, Microsoft CA, and a basic PIN policy and its PKI issuance. I could, in essence, have, since the SafeNet eToken Fusion supports both PKI, PIV, and FIDO, I can issue both at the same time if needed, or if that requirement is there. And if we plug in our eToken, our end user smart card here, so you saw this already in Rudy's demonstration on FIDO. Here you're going to see the PKI issuance. And we validate ourselves with the PIN from our operator card that we've used to log into the system. Now the CMS is going to register the card in the back. It's going to diversify the admin PIN or admin key basically to a hidden value, let's say. We're then going to prompt you for the user that you would choose to issue that token to. Then we're going to reach out to, in this case, we're going to reach out to the certificate authority to generate the CSR request. Of course, the keys are going to be generated on the token itself, the key pair. We're going to then download and install the certificate in the appropriate container on that token. And also, if you set up your PIN policies here, we'll also make those settings on the PIN policies that will be applied to the token. And then you get a small list of what the actions that are performed on the system there, on that token. Okay, now we've issued the token, but we haven't assigned the user pins. So in essence, here you can have, if the user is nearby or present, you could pass him a pin pad and he could enter his own pin. All right, there's different use cases. You can customize the CMS for the CMS to generate a pin, a random pin, let's say, static or random pin that can be emailed, SMS, or you can use a pin mailer device, both physical and electronic. So it's sealed. So for our presentation here, we're just gonna, let's lock this machine. So if we go to our user that we just issued, we're gonna perform self-service side unblock using vSEC CMS credential provider. And here, for the post-issuance PIN unblock authentication, we're going to use plain domain credentials. You can use different methods in CMS, both online and offline methods. Offline methods being a simple challenge response, where I call up help desk, maybe over the phone. I present the challenge code here, validate my identity, and then the admin provides me through CMS, through the admin interface, provides me a response code, and then I can unblock my PIN without logging into the system even. I could also use an online method where I can generate a passcode as a user in CMS, and the admin can validate that passcode on the CMS server, provide a response either via email, SMS, or again, that PIN mail device. And there is, for those that want a kind of outside client server Microsoft environment approach, you can have also set up a OpenID Connect. For example, you could do it on Entra ID, and then you can authenticate your users that way. This can also be used for self-issuances, by the way. So this is, we're just doing PIN unblock where I'm simulating, I as the end user am setting the PIN on the SafeNetE token. Okay, there it is. And we do strong two-factor authentication using strong certificate-based smart card authentication into our Windows environment. All right, just to show you a couple more things on the self-service side. This is our vSEC CMS user application, self-service client application. As Rudy mentioned, you can put it to, optionally, you can add it to your end user machines, to as many clients as you want. And the user can come in here, do the same thing, similarly what we did with the PIN unblock. You can do a change PIN, which doesn't require connection to the CMS server. Again, we have the option here for the online, offline unblock methods. And in this use case, well, since we have a certificate on here, we can request and reissue our certificates when it's due to expire. So you can automate this in many ways in CMS, where you can force a card update and renew the certificates prior to expiry. So it's highly customizable there. Let's reissue the certificate. It's as simple as that. Put our user PIN. And there we've renewed our certificate on that token. Okay, I think we're just in time. Let's see if any questions.